Hey guys, welcome back. Listen, I know we have all been there sometimes where we've been in relationships and we're asking ourselves, like, should I actually stay in this relationship or should I leave? Sometimes we get to these points where we're really questioning whether or not this person's right for us or good for us, or even if we're happy. Maybe you've been in a relationship for a while and you guys have been just really having problems. This goes beyond like narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse. Like, we're not even talking about that yet. We're just talking about relationships that are in a little bit of trouble. Maybe you've actually even separated and you haven't fully gone through with a divorce or an actual real separation, but you're just like taking time apart. And maybe this person is even coming back and saying like, hey, look, I love you. I miss you. Things are going to change. And you're kind of like scratching your head like, is this actually going to work? Are they actually going to change? Or am I going to be stuck with the same problems that we've always had probably since the beginning of this relationship? Now, what I'm about to say might confuse you a little bit, but this process has nothing to do with love. I know you're probably sitting there thinking like, really, Steph, how does this not have anything to do with love? This is more about whether or not this person's actually right for you. And while love plays a really key factor in relationships, love and your heart space do not make always the best decisions. This is where you can start to really overlook a lot of red flags and things that are not good for you because you love a person. Now, of course, love is not something that we can just shut off, but we want to be able to make like really good, healthy decisions on whether or not someone's actually right for us. Because let's be honest, love does not always equal a good relationship, and love does not always equal respect. Love doesn't mean that you're compatible with someone, and love doesn't mean that someone should be in your life day to day. Respect and admiration are two things that have to show up in every relationship in order for it to be a good one and a healthy one. It doesn't mean that those things need to show up in order for a relationship to last, because a relationship can last for 50 years and be a really toxic environment and a really toxic relationship. So we're not talking about the length of time. We're talking about the quality of the relationship. The first thing that you want to really ask yourself is, what is this person's stuff? Now, we all have stuff. This is basically our baggage. This is the stuff that we bring into relationships that have nothing to do with this person. This is the stuff from childhood, previous relationships, experiences that we've gone through throughout the course of our life that is still stuck in us, that we haven't healed, dealt with, or probably even acknowledged. And you want to know what this person's stuff is, and you also want to know whether or not this person can acknowledge what their stuff is. If that person can never acknowledge their own wounds that have nothing to do with you, then you're gonna really struggle in this relationship, because if you know what their stuff is and they don't want to acknowledge it, that stuff is going to get in between the two of you. This is where you start really having disagreements, arguments, friction, and where you will build resentment. Because if you know your stuff and there's one person that's doing all this work on themselves and the other person, not so much. And when that happens over the course of time, you're just going to start growing apart. Let me also say that none of what I'm saying or what I'm going to say is easy, and it's not something that sometimes you can just do like that. Unfortunately, there are going to be situations where you're going to be with someone for years, months, days, weeks, whatever, and you know that you probably shouldn't be with this person, but you're just not ready to leave, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself for staying. You're just not ready. Most of us will have this like rumination battle that's going on inside our minds where we're just like questioning so many different things. Especially if you're in a marriage and you have children, then it's like now you're not just thinking about yourself, you're also thinking about your family dynamic and your children and how are they going to handle this and what's going to happen to them. Is this going to scar them for life? I don't want them to have divorced parents. So that's another added pressure that you're going to put on yourself. Then there's the worst case scenarios that you're going to put on yourself regarding your own self. Will I be okay? Will I be able to live without this person? What will happen to me? Will I ever find someone again? What if they actually change after I leave this relationship? What if they move on to someone else and they're like the person I've always wanted them to be and I missed out because I just didn't wait? What if this is just like a trick? What if they're promising me the world to like get me back and nothing ever changes and then I get stuck even further into this hole with this person and I can never get out? Are you dealing with the empty promise person, where the person is, they've acknowledged their stuff and they're just like promising the world, promising things are going to change, but nothing's actually changing? If you're very honest with yourself, are you dealing with the abuser? Are you dealing with a narcissist? Are you dealing with emotional abuse? Are you dealing with a person who is never ever going to be able to acknowledge their stuff, nor are they going to be able to actually do anything about it? The empty promise person is a really difficult person sometimes to spot, because you have to come to the realization that this person is not capable of being who you want them to be, and they really do have the best intentions. This person may very well love you, but they're not going to ever be who you want them to be. And really what they're doing is they're promising you the world, and they're promising that things are going to change because they have a fear of losing you. They're most likely content with who they are and the way that they live their life, and you guys just don't have the same values. You guys just don't want the same things. They're just probably afraid to actually admit that and own that, and they're afraid to leave the relationship and start all over again. The only problem in your relationship is not that you guys don't love each other, it's that you guys just want different things and you're two different people and you're not really on the same page. And that's a hard thing to have to admit, because then you realize that like love just isn't enough. The abuser should be really easy to spot, but this person always isn't. And it sometimes takes us actually leaving a relationship or being discarded or being really manipulated, gaslighted, and abused in order to see what was really happening with this person. This person is just literally giving you empty promises, and you know this, like deep down, you just don't want to admit it. The empty promise person, this has nothing to do with you or them. This is just two people that just like aren't really right for each other, don't really want the same things, but genuinely have love for each other. The abuser is someone that you know is not right for you. You can see red flags, you just don't want to admit them. Or this is the person where you're wanting them to be something that they're just not capable of being, and you keep trying and you keep moving around and you keep doing all these things to try to get the relationship or really control and manipulate yourself in order to have the relationship that you want to have, and you're not going to have it with this person. So this scenario really has to do with yourself and your own wounds and the things that are stuck inside of you that you haven't healed, that makes you even want to change this person and have this person give you everything that you've ever wanted. The next person is the trier, and I feel like this person is the person that like always wants to be different. Like they genuinely do want to be that person. They just do not want to put in the effort in order to get to that space. And really that has to do with their own fears, insecurities, and wounds that are inside of them. Or this could also be a combination of that and the person that like just genuinely doesn't even know who they are. They're constantly just like mirroring what other people want to see in them, and they haven't really tapped into like who they are and what they want. And they may never, or they may after like 5, 10, 20 years wake up and decide that they want to be a different person. This person is really not easy to spot because they may not be narcissistic, but they do always mirror who you want them to be, and that kind of like keeps you hooked. This is the person that will always give you crumbs, give you just enough for you to keep staying invested, and then you're kind of like wanting more and wanting more. So they're not necessarily narcissistic, but they also have absolutely no idea who they are. They're not confident enough. They haven't healed any of their stuff. They haven't dealt with any of their internal wounds that would make a really healthy, confident person that knows who they are and knows what they want. When you start breaking down each type of person, you can see who are you actually in a relationship with. And the first thing that really determines whether or not you should stay is emotional intimacy. Like, can you actually be intimate with this person on an emotional level, maybe even a physical level? And emotional intimacy really has to do with how do you feel when you're around this person? Are you comfortable with vulnerability, and is this person as well? Are they comfortable with showing you all sides of who they are, the flaws, the good stuff, the raw stuff, the bad stuff? Like, this is me, I'm gonna expose myself to you. These are all my worries and fears and insecurities. Is this person comfortable enough in their own skin in order to show you all of that? And are you as well, or are you both just scared of abandonment? Can you wholeheartedly listen to each other and not get defensive? Now, being defensive is a normal ego thing that we sometimes do, and you're not going to always not be defensive, but do you see past what is happening, the friction between the two of you, that you can see the benefit of this person being in your life? Because when you can really see that that this person adds to your life, your armor starts to come down. You don't have any walls up anymore. You're more than willing to say, wait, this is going too far. And you're able to really listen to each other versus just being reactive and always trying to like one up the other person, or getting so defensive that all of a sudden everyone starts putting their walls up, or World War III starts to happen. When you really have your best friend in your life, think of someone in your life that you have that is truly your best friend. I don't care if it's a friend, sister, parent, whoever the person is, someone that you know, I do not want to lose this person. And if something ever got too heated between you, you know that you would stop that dead in its tracks and just go, whoa, we need a break. Like, we need a timeout. Like, you just know that you truly, truly value this relationship in your life. When you have that person, and let me just say this, and you really honestly respect who they are. When you have those two things in a relationship, you can have intimacy, you can have vulnerability, you may have disagreements, but those disagreements never get heated. You are not always trying to control situations. When someone calls you out, you don't get upset by that. You can hear what they're saying. When those two people come into a relationship together, that relationship doesn't end. That relationship is perfectly healthy. And that relationship is, not only does it not end, but it's actually amazing. Whether or not you should stay in a relationship is a really difficult question to ask, but I have to say, if you are even asking that question, then there are problems in this relationship. Clearly, I know you know that go beyond just you. It also has to do with this person, because it does always take two to tango. So you could be the best person in the world. You could be doing all the work on yourself. You could be healing. You could feel so incredibly good. But if you're dealing with a person who's not on your level, then the relationship isn't going to work, because eventually you're going to build resentment because you're able to have open and healthy communication with this person and they just immediately shut down. Maybe you're dealing with a person who doesn't know who they are, doesn't know what they want. Maybe you're dealing with someone that just is not compatible with you at this point in your life. So this is why in the beginning when I said, look, love has absolutely nothing to do with it. That's what I mean, is that this goes beyond you loving someone, and this more has to do with whether or not someone's actually right for you. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a really difficult conversation to have, and I know it's something that when you have to be honest with yourself and really admit that like maybe this person just isn't right for me, it's just a crappy thing to have to do, because that means that like something is probably going to end, and we don't want that to happen. But this first and foremost always has to do with you and whether or not you're happy in this relationship. Don't be afraid of the future. Don't be scared of all these rumination questions that you're asking yourself. Everything will work out fine. It first has to be about you and whether or not you're happy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you can get notified every time I do upload a new video. Go follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. I'll link them all down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.